Hello friends, and welcome to my channel, Correct My English with Laila. You may or may not know that I'm on a mission to complete all of the discussion topics on the ESL discussion website for English learners. I chose the letter D, so today's topic will be distracted driving. Let me know down in the comments how I did and if you would have answered any of the questions differently. Let's go! Question 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is your cell or mobile phone? Well, I think it depends on where I am. So for example, when I'm at home, my cell phone is not important at all because I have WhatsApp Web, and WhatsApp is the website that I use most to communicate with my friends and family. As long as my phone is within the vicinity of my home office, I can still use WhatsApp Web. Sometimes I wake up and I don't even know where my phone is. And it's because I am also not expecting a lot of phone calls from friends and family. They call me at specific times of the day, so I know exactly when I need to have my phone with me. Also, the nature of my job requires me to not have my phone because I'm in front of customers every day. So I really don't need my phone, and I think I'm very happy because I'm not addicted to it at all. When I'm outside my house, I need my phone very, very much because I need it to do online banking. I can call someone in case of an emergency, especially when I'm out of my house. I'm going for a walk or to the mall, and I could be listening to podcasts as I go about my day. So I really, really need my phone more when I'm outside than when I'm inside my home. Question 2. How important is your safety and well-being? It's very, very, very important. I take my safety very seriously. I like to know where I'm going. I'm always aware of who's around me. I always try to be careful about who is with me. Also, when it comes to where I want to eat, I try to make sure it's a really, really nice place. And even though I live in a very safe area, every time I'm out, I'm wearing a whistle on my neck. They always say that, those things don't save you in an emergency, but, it's not going to be for lack of trying when that happens. So I'm always happy to bring my whistle with me. With regards to my well-being, I'm always thinking about my well-being. I'm always trying to be comfortable and to make myself comfortable. What I eat, where I am, how I look, what I'm wearing. All of these things I feel like should go towards making me as comfortable as possible. And that even extends to my home. I like to create an ambience that is very inviting and relaxing for me to be in. And even when I'm out in the mall or on holiday, I'm always looking forward to come back home because I've created a little heaven for myself in my home. And it changes a lot. I spend a lot of time thinking about my home, how to reorganize pieces, how to refurbish stuff and get new decorations for my wall hangings, for example, and so on. So I think that is part of my well-being. I like to be in a place that I like, so I spend a lot of time making it look like how I want it to look. Question 3. Do you ever text, check social media, for example, Facebook, Twitter, etc., or email while you're walking or driving? When I'm walking, I might look down on my phone, and that's only because I'm trying to choose a playlist. When I'm out of my house, I try to notify the people in my life of like, hey guys, I'm out, I'm going for a walk. So during that time, I'm not expecting any phone calls or anything. So the only use for my phone is just in case of an emergency or if I need to listen to music or YouTube. When I'm driving on the wheel and the car is moving, I never use my phone. So my car has Bluetooth. So even when I'm answering a call on Bluetooth, it's to be like, hey, I'm driving, I'll call you back. I'm not trying to engage the person or find out what it is they want to say. I feel like the people who can do that are real life superheroes. How can you guys do that? I just need to focus. If you're in the car with me, we can talk and laugh and so on. But when you're on the phone, I just feel like, my attention is going where you are. I feel like my attention is leaving the road and going to where the other person is. And I don't find that this is very useful for my driving. So absolutely not. I am not on Twitter, so I would not have a use for Twitter. I'm barely on Facebook, maybe for work now that I've started my channel, but I don't think I would need to be on Facebook when I'm driving. Question 4. Have you ever seen somebody do something dangerous while texting and walking or driving? Absolutely yes. I think texting is a big one. So every time I'm driving behind someone and I can see that their vehicle is veering off the lane, like in and out of the lane, I know that the person is texting. And sure as hell, when I overtake the person, they're texting. I think that just blows my mind. I just find that it's so dangerous. In the movies, we've seen a lot of those clips where someone walks into a pole on the side of the road, or someone walks into a ditch. Oh my goodness, I think that is so humiliating because you could probably be trying to go somewhere and you're now in a ditch, you have to go back home and change. That's never a really good thing. Also, there was a situation on my treadmill a few weeks ago where I think I was trying to look behind me to see what the time was or something, and oh my goodness, I have never really felt that amount of danger in my entire life. I think my foot slipped and I stepped back on the treadmill the wrong way, I think with the side of my foot or something like that. I think that was super, super dangerous. As you can tell, I'm not able to multitask with my phone. It's just too much for me. I've accepted that it's just way too much for me. I'm not texting and doing anything else at the same time. Question 5. What percentage of traffic accidents do you think are the result of distracted driving? This is just a rough number off the top of my head. I think it's maybe 40% or lower. And I say that only because nowadays most cars have Bluetooth in them, and I see a lot of people are able to do hands-free communication. That is a really, really great safety feature that a lot of people are using. I also know that dashboards are voice activated and you can choose a playlist that way, choose to call someone, and that is very, very helpful. I'm not sure that drivers are trying to actively distract themselves from the road. A lot of people, even if they're, texting is just a brief moment and they'll bring back their attention on the road, especially for people who are defensive drivers and are trying to be careful. I think it's very just easy to just swerve and avoid and overtake this mess of a person who's just trying to die that day on the road. Question 6. Is texting while driving as dangerous as drunk driving? I think it can be, because this is the classic example of paying full attention versus lack of paying full attention. I personally believe that drunk driving is more dangerous because depending on the amount of alcohol, your capabilities can be severely impaired. You're just driving, but you're not driving. And some people say that driving is almost an out-of-body experience. So sometimes a really, really drunk person will drive and get home safely. I've also seen a lot of situations where sleepy drivers are driving and will get you home very safely. It can be quite dangerous, especially when you're driving and your out-of-body experience is like severely impaired if your hands are not working correctly, or if you're hallucinating maybe and you see something that's not there or something. With the issue of texting, I believe that the person is in a deep conversation with someone else and they're very, very immersed in the conversation. So I think they will look down and look back up, just in time to avoid a severe accident. I think it's a form of recklessness, especially if this person is not driving on the highway and they're just trying to do this kind of thing in an area with high pedestrian traffic. I think this is so, so reckless and so dangerous because you never know when that person might just jump on the road and they're trying to cross, and here you are not looking at the road. So I think that's definitely more dangerous because it's a very reckless habit. Question 7. How can society discourage people from their phone distracting them while walking or driving? Well, as far as walking in parks or areas where people do fitness, I think users of those kinds of areas should be aware and try to be on the side of the road. So you're not trying to text or be on social media in the middle of a lane where there's someone who's trying to run there. Signs throughout the park to make the people aware that some level of discipline and self-awareness is required in the fitness area. Users of these facilities try to enforce the rules themselves and not just wait for security to step in, because I think that sometimes we neglect our own responsibilities in public spaces because we're waiting for someone else to do it, and I think this really makes the problem even worse. As for drivers, I think the rules should be made clear and reiterated more and more, over and over and over again, because I think as human beings we tend to forget and get really comfortable and disregard the rules. I think a good way to do that would be to impose fines on the people who are going against the rules. I think the radars and camera systems are really good at catching the people who speed, but not really people who text, and I think that's like a gray area. Personal initiative should really go a long way to discourage these kinds of behaviors. Public road authorities should increase the signage on the side of the road that will act as reminders to people who forget when they're in traffic. They have a really nice signboard up there just telling them to avoid texting while they're driving. I think that's a really good way. Education will go a long way to resolving this issue, because even though a lot of cars nowadays have Bluetooth, I know that some people are not using Bluetooth, and it's crazy. When you see a car that you know this car has Bluetooth and the person is still hanging on to their handset, it's like, oh my goodness, what are you even doing? The last thing that will definitely keep us safe is personal initiative. Don't text when you're driving. Just do that for yourself and for the road users that you'll find somewhere out there, because there's nobody who can guarantee our safety but ourselves. So I think that's the biggest one. Do you think education alone is enough to eliminate distracted driving? I would like to say yes. Sometimes punishment does have the opposite effect of what you're trying to achieve. With regards to distracted driving, I think there are a lot of different areas that people can get educated about. Like I mentioned, how to use their cars, especially Bluetooth. That's a really big one, and it's like a common sense one. I know a lot of people are embarrassed to admit that they don't know how to hook their phone up with the dashboard by way of Bluetooth, but this is a good one. People can just step in and teach them. The best thing about education is all about reiteration and repeating all these points until they stick. With regards to a lot of people who break the rules on the road, they actually are following some rules. So sometimes you find a person is, yes, they're texting, but they don't jump the traffic light. And I think this is a really good thing. Just because the person is texting doesn't mean like it's a bad person. They just need more education, I guess. If a course is designed, they will have gone and interviewed the people who like to text and drive and see why they're doing it. Does the government need to create more exits on the side of the road where people can just stop and respond? So yeah, I find that education is very wholesome, especially if they take into consideration the reasons why people are offending. Question 9. Are fines a sufficient penalty for distracted driving? Absolutely yes. I think fines do work as a deterrent to a great extent. From personal experience, I don't want to get fined at all. I think if fines can work as a deterrent, it's good if people are driving well, but the other thing is that a lot of lives can be saved if people can just decide on a whim to disregard traffic rules. I've heard about some places in Europe where points are deducted from your driving record along with being charged a fine, and should these points get below a certain level, your license gets revoked and you can't even drive anymore. I'm not sure if you can reapply to get the license, but you get the point. Question 10. How much should the fine be for distracted driving? Any amount above $100 is good. I believe the amount shouldn't be too low that people disregard and see it as a non-consequence. And it also shouldn't be too much that it's distracting drivers. We don't want to stress drivers out too much while they're out trying to earn a living, drive to work while thinking about a hefty fine, the amount can be adjusted upwards should drivers violate in specific areas, especially where they can cause great harm to pedestrians. I think that's only fair. At pedestrian crossings, I think if anyone is found to be violating there, I am in support of charging them upwards of $1,000 and even revoking their license, because wow, are pedestrians supposed to be competing with vehicles? How big of a delay can a pedestrian cost you? The whole point is to drive well and be able to coexist with others. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments if you would have answered any of the questions differently. Until next time, bye!